Hello, this is Builder Dominic, and welcome back to another LEGO review. Today we'll be looking at the LEGO Star Wars set 75099 Rey's Speeder. The set came out in 2015 and was designed for kids 7 to 12. Back in 2015, when the first wave of the Star Wars The Force Awakens models first came out with LEGO, this was the cheapest model to get the Rey minifigure. So a lot of people got it because, it was one of your cheapest options from much more expensive sets to get one of the main characters in the new trilogy. So it was a very popular set because of the Rey minifigure. But even though it's a very cheap and inexpensive model, they still managed to pack it with great little details, so it looks visually amazing, and also a lot of little fun playable features with it. And I want to start with her tools that are kind of clamped onto the side of the speeder. Up here you've got the little blade saw to cut through that metal and detach the scrap pieces of metal that she wants to take back to sell. You've got binoculars to look out the vast the vast desert to look for any scrap or danger that could be around. And then you've got that little rappelling cable where we see her where she's rappelling down a crashed Star Destroyer or perhaps an AT-AT, but this way she can get into those more difficult to reach locations. And of course the staff that she's very well known for carrying for both defending herself and kind of traveling on that hot desert sand is there on the very top. And very cool. I'll get into more detail this week at the other side, but this side panel swings open to reveal a storage container, and we'll get back to that as I turn it around to the other side. But some other features we're going to see on the sides are these stud shooters, and if you just push that little lever there, that little red stud shoots out. Very powerful. You're probably going to lose a few, so it's great that they give you like 8 extra, so in case you do lose that red stud, you've still got some more to play with. But I want to take a side note here, and I find that feature interesting because LEGO is known how they will not do war vehicles. They're very much about not making war fun or war a game, which is why you won't find like modern warfare vehicles. And when they made the Indiana Jones theme, there was a huge uproar about, should we do it because these are real military vehicles? And yet, when we get a theme like Star Wars, Rey's speeder had no weapons on it in the film, yet they put a stud shooter on it. So it's like, even though they're against war and glorifying war, they put these, weapons on ships that didn't have weapons in the original films and for the, the models that they're basing them off of. So that's just a fun tangent that I find interesting. Now, as we turn around to the back here, you're going to see those little side fins. Now, these side fins can actually bend from the side to the back, so you can kind of position them as if this speeder is making a tight turn on over the desert sand. And then you've got the blue jets that's propelling it forward. And then over here you've got the control panel where she'll control the vehicle and steer it around, and 2 joysticks for the minifigure to hold on to, and it only fits 1 minifigure on the back because the speeder only holds 1 minifigure. And then over here we've got those like slanted clear pieces to represent like the windshield. And now here we're on the other side, and this side also swings open, and inside you really see that container that's shoved into this inside this vehicle. And so if you open both doors, you can kind of push it out because it's a really tight fit, so it's hard to grab from one end. And then you've got this little container which dropped. And this little container, very simple, it's just made to slide right in there, and you just pop off the top like that, and you can put some, perhaps those red studs or other things that you might want to store in there. But this is kind of like the container that Rey would store the junk metal that she found on her missions or her little scouting adventures. But in the film, this thing didn't have a container inside of it. It had netting on the side that she just put the junk in on the side. So this works better for LEGO, but it doesn't match the film very well. And then as I turn around the front, you're going to see that nice grating for the vents as it goes through the hot desert. So you got to keep that engine cool. The Rey minifigure looks really nice. They did a good job of putting kind of those ragged clothes on her because, she's just this poor desert scavenger. So I thought they did a really great job with representing the clothes from the film, and then she's got this kind of more stern face because, you know, she works hard, she's barely making it alive, so, you know, she's always got this kind of like intense look on her face. And when I turn her around, they give her a nice little satchel because, you know, she goes searching for a little scrap metal, she's got to put it somewhere so that she can climb out of these immense vehicles that have crashed on the planet Jakku. And I love the braided hair that she has, and as I turn her around, you're going to see, you know, the back angle of those hair braids. And of course, I love how they put detail in the back of this minifigure. Usually that isn't the case. Usually the back's kind of skimped with the design, but they continue her clothing on the back, and then the side gives you another view of the hairpiece. And what's really cool about this is not only do you get this stern expression, but like many Star Wars minifigures, you get a second expression, and this one's a little more happy because, you know, she's still positive. She believes her family will return to come get her despite the many years she has been there on Jakku. But they also give you a second headpiece. So rather than just her hair, you get that mask that she wears out in the desert to keep her safe from blowing sand and the intense heat, and you got the goggles there. So not only do you get two facial expressions, but you also get two headpieces. The villain of the set is the Unkar's Thug, as Lego calls it, or, you know, the Star Wars fans call it the Unkar's Henchman. You know, same thing, just, you know, a different descriptive word there. But these thugs would make sure to enforce Unkar's strict rules about bartering and make sure nobody like tried to bargain too high against him. So they were kind of, you know, they weren't good guys, they were the henchmen. But what the thing is, they disguised themselves. So they wore these masks with goggles, and, you know, this is not only to hide their identity, but also protect them from the intense sun and the blowing sand of the desert. And to add a little more detail of hiding their identity, they wear a hood so they would shadow their faces. And I love that their clothes are covered in like sand and dirt, so you've got this, you know, gray outfit with the brown, light brown sand from the desert. And, you know, of course, these are space thugs, so they carry crowbars because that's what you do in space, right? You carry a crowbar, not a laser. Why would you do that? And then on the back, just to show the detail that Lego's putting in this, usually the back of a minifigure doesn't get a lot of detail, but here you can see not only lines in the jacket, but also more of that, you know, light brown or tan dirt kind of just crammed into this fabric, because that's all Jakku is a desert planet. Because, you know, the original trilogy had Tatooine, so we've got Jakku, a desert planet. But a really fun little villain to add to this very basic set. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and you can click on the image to watch another video. Thank you.